What's up, friends and foes? How's everybody doing out there? Hey, coming at you. I've been seeing this commercial for a while now. In fact, I heard it was at the Super Bowl, played during the Super Bowl commercials. I didn't watch the Super Bowl this year, I'm not a communist, for one. I'm also a Lions fan, for two. Got completely fucked out of, an appearance there. Plus, why do I want to watch this bullshit with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, whoever the fuck, I don't give a shit about these fucking homos. I digress. I came in hot today, because that's not even what I'm talking about. I don't give a shit about, I'm not talking about football here. What I wanted to talk about was the State Farm commercial. There's a State Farm commercial with, obviously, Jake, that fucking plant. But most of all, Arnold Schwarzenegger is in it. Once again, didn't just drop a racial slur. That's his actual last name. Ha! I have so many issues with this commercial. Let's start first things first. I don't think that's Arnold. A little story about me and Arnold. We go back. Back when I used to play college football for a Division II team. That's right. Fucking stellar. Absolutely. You can look by my physique. You can say, wow, he was probably a fucking O-lineman. You'd be wrong. I was a punter. We're going way off track here. One of the ways that we would fundraise some money in the off season was we would do, rent a security guard company, CAC, CSC, some shit like that. Something security. I don't know. Worked venues, concerts. Like I said, our team, especially the O-line, D-line guys, the big guys, were big assets, but, us little guys, us receivers, punters, whatever, we'd also come along just for the fun of it. And because, we were contractually obligated to work the Arnold Classic, probably back in 2013, 2014. And I did the Arnold walk. When he was walking through everybody, they do the Arnold walk every year where he walks through everybody. And I was a security guard, And before they said, don't look him in the eyes because he'll morph right in front of you. He'll snap, don't ask him for an autograph, whatever. I don't get starstruck. I don't give a shit about these fucking idiots, quite frankly. That being said, I stood right next to Arnold. First of all, I'm like 5'11", maybe 6 foot on a good day, maybe especially in these cowboy boots. I was as tall as Arnold. When they say he's like 6'4", 6'3", whatever, maybe in the 80s, I'm sure, he got a ton of back surgeries and stuff like that. I think that shrinks you. Just like Hulk Hogan was, 6'7", and now he's like 6'4", 6'3". Still, irrelevant, especially to this topic. Actually, it's not irrelevant at all. What I'm saying is I have in-person experience seeing Arnold in front of me. He also has a posse of guys around him that all look like him, all wear the same like leather jacket, Planet Hollywood kind of leather jacket, except it's like Planet Arnold. And I think that might be for assassination attempts, in case someone tries to whack him. They got fucking 10 other guys around him. Or maybe it's just part of his cult, you want to be in the TCB crew like Elvis, you gotta fucking look like me. Maybe it's something weird like that, it's a very big self-flattery. I don't know. I'm speculating here, and I'm going way off track. The reason I'm talking about me being face-to-face with Arnold and being next to him and seeing him in person is because in the State Farm commercial, that's not him. It's just not. The face is there. I think it's a deep fake. I'm going to be the first to say it because I looked into the comments and everyone was talking about his stance on COVID and, hey, he was a fucking pussy for that, calling everybody weak and all that shit. Okay, yeah. That whole can of worms. We're going to get into, and he backtracked on it too, so I don't fucking have any, qualms about saying what I'm saying right here. He fucking admit he was wrong, so I'm not going to apologize for what he fucking said or what he said after that. I've been next to him. I've seen him. I see him on there. Whoever the fuck is playing him, I don't got the biggest guns in the world. I'm a fit guy, but I don't have huge guns. The guy in that fucking commercial from the back, putting your shoulders back and arms back, that's not him. They use purposeful angles, just like how when there's stunt people on TV, on screen when you're watching a movie or a show, you can always see, well, they didn't show the face, they didn't show the face in that one, or they showed the back of him. That's not him from the back. I'm just saying it's not. It just doesn't even look like, you don't even have to have ever seen him in person, just to, your intuition alone should be enough to look at that and say, that's not Arnold, and they're purposely only using either right up on his face shots or ambiguous shots where there's nothing telling of him. I think it's a deep fake. That's really the point I'm trying to spit out here, is I think it's a deep fake of him that they purposefully utilized. And to go even more on a little digression here, I think that a fuck ton of commercials nowadays are doing the AI thing, whether it be with voices. I hear Christopher Walken and Danny DeVito and all this shit all the fucking time, and not Jeff Bridges, fucking John Goodman all the time, their voices. Either they're raking in the cash, or I still think they're raking in the cash. Maybe they sold their rights for an AI voice for the commercials. But I just don't think that they're doing all this stuff. I really think that AI has permeated commercials, whether it be their faces on deepfakes or their voices narrating them. I just don't buy the realisticness of it. And I shouldn't, because it looks like dog shit. I mean, it looks like fucking, some lunar landing fucking footage. We're not getting into that one. That was just a little fucking cut, quick little joke. It's funny. Also gives me time to sip my beer. What's my second point about this commercial? Well, the whole premise of it is that he says, like a good neighbor, like a good neighbor.
Like a good neighbor.
And then the fucking dipshit cuck director is like, Arnold, it's neighbor.
I'm hearing neighbor, it's neighbor.
And then fucking Jake from State Farm, the biggest plant there ever has been, is like, Arnold, it's neighbor.
Neighbor.
Hey, this guy was the fucking governor of California, okay? I think that's his claim to fame. He might have done a couple other movies too. I think maybe he had like a movie career, but he was mostly the governor of California, and I think a bodybuilder in his early days. And guess what? He's always spoken like that. That has been his claim to fame. What does everybody always say when they do, a impersonation of him? Get to the chopper! I am governor of California! All that shit. They always use that voice. That's what you're buying, okay? So you got this fucking deep fake, first of all. It's not even a real person, but even if it were the real Arnold, what you're fucking buying from State Farm, what you're handing over these millions, just like Pfizer handed millions over to Kelsey, how much did they hand over to fucking Arnie? He's sitting there saying, like a good neighbor, and the fucking cuck director and asshole is it's neighbor, Arnold. Really? It's fucking neighbor? That's what you want him to say? You want him to articulate the word neighbor? That's not how he speaks. The whole selling point is that he fucking cannot speak properly because of his accent. He goes, neighbor, chopper, shit like this. I just think it's a dumb fucking premise for a commercial. They're lecturing him. We're not going to get the right commercial, Arnold. This State Farm commercial, we're putting in $11 into this. Our whole budget's blown if you just can't say neighbor. No. Fucking, he's saying neighbor, and that is the whole selling point of the entire fucking thing. I guess it got me talking about it. Maybe they did their job, but I think from a logical perspective, it really bugs me. But I guess maybe from a marketing perspective, it's not that funny either. I'm not gonna give it that fucking credit, quite frankly. I'm not gonna give it the credit of being funny, because every time I see it, I had to make a video about this. That's how much it infuriated me. Infuriated. I mean, I got a relatively good life. I don't have anger issues. It didn't infuriate me, but when I'm sitting here in front of this camera, I just gotta vent to you about how it kind of makes me feel. If I didn't have control of my emotions, this is what I might say. That's what I'm getting at. Listen. Deepfake Arnie, real Arnie, you're buying the neighbor, you're buying the chopper. That's all there is to it. Stupid commercial. I played some clips of it during. Maybe you saw what I saw. Maybe you didn't. Either way, it's my fucking opinion. What are you going to do about it? One other quick story about Arnold at the Arnold Walk. Since I let off with that, other people were there. I think Larry Fitzgerald was there. Ronnie Coleman might have been there. It was back in 14, like I said, so he might have been walking and doing his thing. I don't know. I don't follow it that. I wonder if Rich Piano was there. I would have liked to have met him. One person who was there, and that you've probably seen a lot of my content anywhere I shoot content, because I have a lot of posters of him. Mike Quinn, great bodybuilder. I'm gonna have my father on pretty soon here as a guest on the show on an actual episode. And one thing about my dad is that was his roommate. Mike Quinn. I can't name his stats off the top of my head, but I know he graced 55, 60 magazine covers in the late 80s and early 90s, and he was part of Vince McMahon's bodybuilding thing when he started that up in the 90s, and he took, I think highest was like 5th place at Mr. Olympia, something like that. He was definitely a very esteemed bodybuilder, and he was one of the first and few bodybuilders to really be honest about, yeah, I put shit in my veins. Everyone else here does too. They're all fucking liars. But I'll talk about it. And that's why a lot of people didn't like him. I respect him, but I did get to catch up with him back then. he gave me some really awesome signed pictures, and we took some pictures together, and I'd love to find those because I haven't seen them in a couple years, but I have so much shit hoarded, I know I still have them somewhere. Would love to get those framed and put them up. I was just a kid in college at that point, like I said. But I promised you one other quick little Arnold story, and this is a very quick little Arnold story. Very fast. It's just funny. Apparently he doesn't sign very often, you know, his signature. Especially during the Arnold walk, he never, because, you know, people are just, but I guess one of the magazines that some fool was holding out graced his eye. Maybe he liked that magazine cover that he was on or something. So he comes over and he grabs it. He just doesn't say anything. He didn't say anything the whole time. He's just waving to everybody and whatever. I'll be back. That's the other one I didn't fucking say. Get to the chopper like a good neighbor, but I never said I'll be back. Anyway, he likes this magazine. He picks it up and he nods his head and he looks at the guy. He's holding the magazine and he puts his hand up like, all right, give me a pen. And the fucking guy, this fucking incel, looks at him and is like, oh, I thought you'd have a pen. And Arnold just looks at him and goes, ha ha ha. Hands it back to him and keeps walking. And it was hilarious because that's where I learned that he doesn't sign off. And everyone was like, oh, he never signs. Wow, you got him. And then they were like fucking clowning on him about this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that he absolutely just fucking squandered. And it was really funny. It was really funny to watch, you know. The guy got picked, you know, chosen by destiny. And didn't fucking utilize his opportunity whatsoever. That's that. That's my State Farm rant. State Farm rant number 1, I'm assuming, because I want to make some more State Farm rants about Jake from State Farm. I want to make some progressive rants, maybe even some Farmers Insurance, you know, J.K. Simmons rants. Compare the movie Whiplash with the Farmers Insurance Museum of Disaster. Might be fun. I don't know. Maybe we'll even work Miles Teller in there somewhere. Did I finish the thought? In case I didn't finish the thought for editing later, or I'll just leave this at the tail end. Maybe I got a short-term memory. I'm also drinking. My father was Mike Quinn's roommate down in Florida, in Miami, you know, in the 90s. And was kind of like his equipment, his merch manager also. So I got a lot of his merch, stuff like that. I think they lived together. They used to go out to the bars together, from what I understand, all the time, get into fights all the time. You know, bodybuilders, they don't, from what I understand, they don't love always getting into fights, or not all of them. A lot of them are big. That doesn't mean that you're a good fighter, and that doesn't mean that you can move very good, but apparently Mike Quinn, you know, he's from fucking, what is it, Brockton, Massachusetts, you know, tough part of Boston, and I guess he was a brawler when he was a kid. I mean, shit, if you ever saw his fucking physique when he was a kid, he won the junior title, I think, 17-year-old, 16 years old, I mean, jeez, oh Pete, he was fucking stacked, just a big old fucking white boy, but loved to fight. Anyway, that's how, you know, I've known Mike. But yeah, State Farm rant number 1. Put it in the books. Get ready for State Farm rant number 2.
State Farm is there.
That was kind of bad.